Hi, welcome to VYAPT Growth Series, Season 2, Episode 32. And in our growth series today, we have with us Puja Marwaha, CEO of Child Rights and You, popularly known as CRY. It's an
Hi,
organization which has
Pankaj.
been helping deprived children across India and have been doing some fantastic work over the years. Welcome to our show, Puja.
Thank you, Pankaj. Honored to be here.
Thank you so much, Pooja. It's our honor to host you on this growth series. In growth series, we have been bringing business leaders who have been talking about various sectors and segments in which they operate, making some huge amount of difference to social lives and to the people across the globe. But bringing an NGO is altogether a different experience because you shape lives of people, those who are marginalized, to the children, those who deserve a better future. We'll have four curiosities, and I'm sure we'll be having to get a glimpse of some amazing work you have been doing so far. My first question, which obviously revolves around the growth, is growth is always taken as inclusive growth, and all growth revolves around people or mankind per se. How is CRY helping in growth of deprived and marginalized children? And what are the challenges you're facing along the way?
So in short, CRY looks after children who are don't have access to everything that all children should have, whether it is education, health, to being protected from child labor, child marriage, etc., the other dangers, as well as helping children to find a voice, which we call the right to participate. Uh, we work in around 19 states and we cover around 1 million children. We are very proud that in 1 year we can cover so many children thanks to all our donors and everybody's help from across India. We are an
Mhm,
Indian charity that primarily focuses on getting everybody to take responsibility for children.
mhm,
So, in short, we try to ensure that the child has a chance at becoming a happy, healthy, creative child and
mhm.
therefore an adult and grow into a healthy person who can take care of themselves.
Uh, yeah.
Therefore, we will have projects which will focus on keeping children in school. They will focus on, tracking dropout children, making sure they're in school, giving them the support where required to stay in school, um, ensuring that the health they have access to health services. As I'm sure everyone knows, health can be a huge challenge for deprived families because
Mhm,
it is very expensive and they need to access whatever is available to them, as well as fight malnutrition, which many of our communities are struggling with, especially our
mhm,
tribal communities. And actually track and see that children are not being pushed into labor or early marriage or things that are harmful for them, because there are
mhm.
many ways in which unfortunately the world dreams up of exploiting children. So yeah, we do a fair work across all these areas.
Uh, what are the challenges? Any specific challenges which you are facing around it? I'm sure the kind of work you are doing must be having a lot of challenges on
Of course.
along the way.
So some challenges lie directly in the space of availability of schools for children, for example,
Mhm,
availability of health facilities,
mhm,
availability of trained and good staff, whether
mhm,
it is teachers, whether it is nurses, whether it is Anganwadi workers. So
mhm,
whether it is people in the protection space. So, for example, we end up doing a lot of
mhm,
work with training, whether it's for police or teachers, etc., etc. So that is a huge challenge that organizations like ours face, which is that there may not
mhm,
be enough infrastructure for all the people that need it, and it may not be available to them uh, free. And the fact
Okay.
is that communities cannot pay for challenges. So, people say, oh, it's just 1 rupee. Why can't they pay? But they can't. These are families or communities who live absolutely at the end of the poverty spectrum. The other big challenge that we face, I think, is overall as a society, how we see
Mhm.
children. Do we see children as it is not India should be an India where it is not acceptable to have a child serving you in a dhaba. It
Mhm.
should not
Mhm.
be acceptable that children are
Mhm.
married off early, right? It is on
Mhm.
that day. So to me, that's one of our biggest challenges, that we accept these things. We say, "Arey,
Mhm.
garib hai, what can we do?" But it is not for children to
Mhm.
earn money. It is on their
True.
families. When we
True.
give birth to children, it is we are the duty bearers, right? It is not a
Mhm.
child's
Mhm.
duty to earn money for us.
Mhm.
So I think that the societal approach and placing children at the center of our work, of our resource allocation, whatever money,
Mhm.
whether at a nation level, whether at a state level, whether in a family level, the money and resources that we have, the fact that we need to um, allocate it for children first, I think is
Mhm.
the biggest dream. And therefore, for example, we are willing to, let's say, put money into uh, roads or railways, and we need to do those things. But do we first think
Mhm.
also about health facilities, about children? Yeah.
Mhm.
And as a
Mhm.
family, let's say if I have to allocate, would I
Mhm.
put that money into schooling rather than
Mhm.
put it into, something frivolous? Yeah. So
Mhm.
that is, I think, the third big challenge. So it really, I sum it up like that: the availability of infrastructure and money and resources, and the
Mhm.
centrality and approach and attitude of all of Indian society towards its children. Not saying they are
Mhm.
children, even if they are not mine. It is not
Mhm. Mhm. True.
acceptable that they should not be in school.
True, true, true. So, what you're trying to say is, if we are mindful of our natural resources, why aren't we mindful of our human resources, which is going to actually be the future of our nation as we
Absolutely.
progress forward?
And not just the
Uh,
nation, Pankaj, I believe of the
yeah,
world. If you
yeah,
look at
obviously,
the
obviously,
number of children in our country, right?
yeah,
We
yeah,
have
yeah.
70% of the world's children are in India.
True,
So this,
true.
we are really talking about the future of the world.
Mm-hmm. Okay, okay. So, Pooja, you also talked around, that it is not only limited to awareness part. Probably people are aware about it, what they should do and what they should not do. But there has to be a subtle change around the mindset. Okay, because chalta hai attitude may not work in the future. We have to have some actually societal mindset changes to bring in those kind of marginalized and deprived children in the
Yeah.
in the main line of the
Yeah.
of
We
the
always
society to.
say and cry that it is one thing to be, it is our job, let's say, to make you aware of the situation. It is your job
Mhm.
then to take action. And the action
Mhm.
can take many routes, right? You could
Mhm.
do, you could be a journalist and you could write an article. You could donate. You could be a volunteer.
Mhm.
You can do so many things, but actually take action in your lives for children. And I see in my 40 years of cry that cry is actually the work that we've done, the fact that we have managed to work with almost 4 million children in these years has been
Mhm.
because of this say sagar, all these actions that people have taken. You could have sent
Mhm.
100 rupees. You could have been a volunteer. You could have run a project. You could have decided to run classes, right? All of
Mhm.
it
Mhm.
combined is what changes. So I really believe, and the founders of Cry believe, that it is collective action by all of us that will
Mhm.
actually change this country.
Mhm. I'm sure it is the collective action which is going to shape the and nurture the children of the world for tomorrow. while you talked around that, there are certain changes which is required, and the kind of challenges which you're facing on the way. Can you also talk about how are you taking care of children differently from what you used to earlier, or organizations like Cry used to do earlier? Is there a subtle changes because of a lot of technology coming in now? It is easier, to in and access to information is much better than what it used to be before. So how are you working differently? And just a sub question to add to it, what kind of initiatives are you taking, and what are the kind of impacts is it producing?
Okay. So, big question. Initially, I don't know if you know that CRY was actually called Child Relief and You. So, I think
Okay.
originally when we started, for the first 15 years, it was very much about whatever we could do. So,
Hmm.
let's fund classes. Let somebody comes and says, I want to take children out of labor. And we would be
Hmm.
satisfied perhaps, or we would think that this is how much we can do. What has changed, I think, in the approach is that we have the government of India has walked with us. So
Hmm.
education has become free from 6 to
Hmm.
14, right? So we could change our work to saying, let us work with the school system and
Hmm.
let us make these resources work better. Because
Hmm.
we can drive children to schools. We can make sure schools are working. We can make sure parents are involved with schools, right? We
Hmm.
can
Hmm.
train, we can get involved with training. I'm saying all the NGO sector, right?
Hmm.
Then, similarly with health facilities, similarly
Hmm.
with protection facilities.
Hmm.
Those of us who work with children, we always say
Hmm.
like between 2000 and 2010 or
Hmm.
2012, the
Hmm.
midday meal schemes came in. The
Hmm.
schools became the right to education became available to our children. Yeah, the
Hmm.
whole health system, which is called the
Hmm.
National Health Rural Management Scheme or the Urban Management Scheme, where there are
Hmm.
actually frontline health workers
Hmm.
becoming available. So, making these
Hmm.
things available to communities, working with them, I think has been one big change. The other
Hmm.
change that has got accelerated by COVID has been the
Hmm.
use of technology, whether it
Hmm.
has been of, and of course, I mean, these are all informed by changes in the outside world, right? You and I have seen
True.
the revolution that mobiles have brought. But mobiles have
True.
also brought information access to people. So, how can we
True.
use that technology to get, for
Hmm.
example, messages about nutrition, or,
Hmm.
to young mothers about what they need to do? And these
Hmm.
things can be used via mediums like IVRS, voice response systems. You can use
Hmm.
chatbots. You can use ways to get information in a structured way to
Hmm.
communities, right?
Hmm.
And there are, of course, there's a lot of innovation in the educational tech space. So I'm not
Hmm.
saying I don't think we can ever replace physical teachers, because for
Hmm.
poor children and underprivileged, that's a wrong word I'm using, for children who are marginalized and do not
Hmm.
get access, they
Hmm.
need caring adults. So they need
Hmm.
those teachers. But it can be
Hmm.
augmented by technology.
Okay.
you know
Yeah. Yeah.
so if in
Hmm.
case something is difficult to do, etc., etc., so we have found
Hmm.
that augmenting it, bringing
Hmm.
the world, so to speak, to communities, has
Hmm.
been a very big change and has had a very large impact. So, for
Hmm.
example, while we use technology, Cry, we have used technology, and we
Hmm.
were funded by this amazing organization called Oracle to do it. We created technology to track every child and family. So
Hmm.
we know exactly, if I say to you that Pankaj, we
Hmm.
work with 4.36 lakh children, I know the details of those 4.36 lakh children. Of course, I protect them deeply. So there are all the issues of
Hmm.
data safety, etc. Right? And I have to protect
Hmm.
them, their dignity and their respect. But I can
Hmm.
actually do that. So I can make out whether our strategies are working, sometimes well, sometimes not so well. So the generation of data, the use of data, the impact that has got created in our sector across the world in the last
Mm,
20 years has been phenomenal.
mhm,
And I always think that in our work, in our sector, remember, we
mhm.
are not being hugely remunerated, or we don't have
True.
shareholders. So where does this
Mm,
accountability come from? It comes from internally. It
mhm,
comes from within us to say the work that we do, the money
mhm,
that we use, we have to be accountable to make sure that it is achieving change. It is achieving the change that it was meant to achieve. So I
mm.
always think the self-generated accountability is something unique that I see growing and changing in our sector. vis हमको किसी ने बोला कुछ करने को और हम करें.
Mhm,
That is always a danger, right? Where
mm,
somebody who is funding can say, oh, you should do XYZ. No, we have to do what children are want and need, what their
mhm,
communities want and need. So creating
mhm,
children centered change
mhm.
is really, I think, the big change that I see in all our approaches.
Obviously, this episode is also a change for us because we are moving from what's in it for me to where can I contribute. So obviously, the NGOs or the organizations like Cry are definitely putting a step forward to ensure there is a self belief, there is a self accountability, and there is a self interest in serving the world through these
Mhm.
marginalized children and what kind of a difference they can actually make in the
I mean, I
society.
always think that this work is what has proven to me that truly human beings are amazing. They are good. They are not bad. They are not cynical. The pleasure of doing this work is that you see that part of everybody, whether it is somebody choosing to give a donation, or it is somebody working for children in that last village where nobody can reach.
Mhm.
Yeah, you just see the best of what we human beings can be when we want to be. And that, I think, to me, is something that encourages me every day to
Mhm.
say, things will change, they can change,
Mhm.
because people want to do something.
Mhm.
People are not wholly tired or cynical or self-serving.
That's so nice of hearing all these things from you, Pooja, because of the kind of amazing work you have been doing. But after this, the kind of work you do, the impact which it has created, and a long journey ahead as well. Pooja, we'll go on to our third curiosity, which is a rapid fire round. 10 questions to be answered. All the questions to be answered in one word or maximum of a sentence. Are you ready, Pooja?
Okay.
Okay, so here we go. Okay, so I'll start with the first one. Your favorite childhood memory.
I think of just lying on my veranda and dreamily watching ants and wondering about how they worked so hard,
Hmm.
and always kept at it.
Hmm.
I think that's a huge memory.
Okay, so in my second one, I'm giving you a free space now. So if you could travel back in time, any time which you feel like, where would you travel or which period would you travel?
I I think my childhood, definitely. I think when I was about 10, 12 years old. I was very blessed to be brought up in a very small and very loving community where there were, we never knew that doors have locks. You could just, you walked in anywhere, got fed by everybody,
Hmm.
uh, walked to school, came back, climbed trees. Yeah, I think that is perhaps the most amazing period of my life.
Wonderful. So I'll go with the next one. You have to answer in one word or maximum of a sentence. If your life was a story, what would it be titled?
Oh my God. uh, I think uh, growing up to believe,
Okay, growing up to believe. Okay, okay. I move on to the next one. What would you choose, reading a book or watching a movie?
reading.
Okay. What advice would you give to your younger self? Your younger self, any advice?
I would say don't doubt yourself so much. Believe in yourself, your instincts, and your emotion.
Okay. So, what skill took you the longest to learn? Any skill?
Numbers,
Number.
numeracy, budgets.
Your favorite all-time leader?
Oh, Mahatma Gandhi at any stretch of imagination. I've always been amazed by um, his strength of belief in his concept and his understanding of India.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't just come up with it sitting by himself in a study, but the fact that it was based on understanding our people
Mm-hmm.
and therefore creating the strategies by which the maximum number of people
Mm-hmm.
would come in and join the cause. If he had chosen violence,
Mm-hmm.
so many people would have never come.
Mm-hmm. True.
For
True.
example, non-violence was something as Indians we get our heads around, right? It was a very Indian
Mm-hmm.
construct. So I think just the
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
sheer sagacity, the brilliance, and the ability to, he was also very political. He was not, just doing it in a saintly way. He was a very practical man. So yeah,
Mm-hmm.
definitely
Okay. So your favorite all-time leader is Mahatma Gandhi. Moving on to the next one. Your favorite hobby,
reading.
favorite subject in school.
Ah, English, I think, English literature.
Okay. And your favorite destination.
Oh, okay. Goa. No, not Goa, but beaches. I don't like
Okay.
Goa anymore, but beaches, yes.
Beaches. Okay.
I
Okay.
love the sea, yes.
Okay. So you answered 10 on 10. Very direct answers from you. Uh, good to know that. And now we will move on to the fourth curiosity, which is about you as a leader. Uh, Generally our thoughts shape our personality. Whatever the kind of lessons or the kind of upbringing we have, the kind of mentors we had in our lives. uh, what is your thought process, exposure, and experience in this extraordinary journey?
So, in my journey, I have been exposed to a couple of leaders who, the Cry's first CEO after its founder,
Mm-hmm.
Pravin Verma, and of course, many other leaders as well around. But I think what I feel that shaped me in my journey was, you know, there was not so much concentration on where do I have to go.
Mm-hmm.
There was always a concentration on what is the right thing to do.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I found in myself and continue to have in myself, I suspect, a fierceness to create institutions that live by a set of values. And actually, I feel and I've learned that everything that we do and say and live affects it. You cannot
Mm-hmm.
put values up on the wall and say, oh, we need to have justice or equity or dignity, and
Mm-hmm.
then not practice it. I
Mm-hmm.
cannot be sitting in a meeting and de-dignify somebody if I am saying I am practicing dignity of people, right? I cannot take pictures of my children suffering and use them as a marketing tool if I'm
Mm-hmm.
talking about dignity,
Mm-hmm.
right?
True.
Because I'm doing it for them.
True.
I'm not
True.
doing it to exploit them,
Mm-hmm.
right? So I think
True.
that to me is a big lesson, which is, to put it very simply, you have to be authentic.
Mm-hmm.
Authenticity is the biggest gift you can give yourself and you can give others. And therefore, for others,
Mm-hmm.
as a leader, I believe that I try to create spaces.
Mm-hmm.
I want them to be able to express their authentic selves, even if it means criticizing me or changing what I have found that my style works best then. Yeah. I think I also learned and deeply imbibed the concept of believing in people and trusting in,
Mm-hmm.
in not policing them, but in trusting that their inherent goodness or their inherent sense of accountability drives them and
Mm-hmm.
will drive them. And I've realized that if somebody doesn't have it, then it doesn't fit with me, because I am not going to follow you around,
Mm-hmm.
you know.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
somewhere as a leader, I think those are the things that I have learned.
Mm-hmm.
Create spaces for people to become their best selves, and they do.
Mm-hmm.
People become extraordinary. They, I've seen people in cry take up roles, overcome all kinds of challenges, whether personal or external,
Mm-hmm.
and just run off and do amazing things. And I've seen it at every level. So I think as a leader, that's, at least I believe, like to believe that that's who I am. I'm also very, I'm also very practical. I believe a lot in common sense.
Mm-hmm.
I think that a lot of things can be resolved by, a cool head and applying common sense. One of the
Mm-hmm.
biggest things I've seen about myself and the organization, actually, at the time of challenges, is that we don't get overwhelmed, but we say, karte raho, start.
Mm-hmm.
It'll
Mm-hmm.
You'll go somewhere, right? The
Correct.
steps will evolve as you go. But if you get scared by the, enormity, and you overthink it, then you will be paralyzed.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So
True.
when you
True.
have a problem, start solving it.
Mm-hmm.
Kai taught me to give place to people to fail. I was given huge space to fail. Go,
Mm-hmm.
but never told, don't try it because you may fail.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, to be given the confidence, say, go try. If it works, it works. It doesn't work, we will brush off our nose, put band-aid on our bloodied nose and get on with it. We'll try something new. So I
Mm-hmm.
think that spirit of perseverance.
Mm-hmm.
I think the fourth big thing that I have learned, both
Mm-hmm.
from my organization and myself, I think
Mm-hmm.
we are both very entwined, is the spirit of uh, change is always possible.
Mm-hmm.
You know, there is no such thing as हम तो ऐसे ही करते थे. Or
Mm-hmm.
this was what we are supposed to do. No. If an
Mm-hmm.
environment changes, there is an ask, there is a need,
Mm-hmm.
and the organization has to adapt.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen its leaders take huge steps to make change whenever required. And I
Mm-hmm.
always believe that is why Cry today is in its 40th decade.
Mm-hmm.
That we are 43 today. That I am very proudly the fourth generation of leaders. That
Mm-hmm.
we are, I think we have at least two more generation of leaders already ready.
Mm-hmm.
The reason is this constant saying, what we need to keep intact is our value system.
Mm-hmm.
Everything else is up for change.
That's so amazing to hear this from you. That what we need to keep intact is a value system, and you believe in people, you believe in humans, and you talked about that never be stuck. Just keep going, and you will find the way out of even the biggest problem of our lives, or whatever may come in future. Uh, Pooja, let me tell you, this episode has been very inspirational and motivating for me as well. For the kind of work you are doing for the masses, helping them to, get their dreams, because what I feel is probably the worst thing what can even ever imagine is to crush his or her dreams, and probably working
Absolutely.
out or helping the children marginalized to get to whatever level possible is a noble task, or the noblest task one can even imagine in our lifetimes. Thank you so much, Pooja, for being a part of VYAPT Growth Series.
Thank you, Pankaj. Absolutely my privilege and honor to be able to talk about things that are also deeply personal. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you, Pooja.